You know those times when life just feels overwhelming? When you're facing opposition? Or maybe you're just haunted by mistakes you've made in the past? Where do you even turn? Well, thousands of years ago, King David gave us this incredible roadmap for navigating those exact moments. It's a powerful prayer, Psalm 25. And we're so glad you're joining us for this devotional explainer, which is brought to you by the You Need Faith in Jesus team. We're all about sharing foundational biblical truth. I mean, it's just a universal human thing, isn't it? That feeling of being totally surrounded, not sure which way to go. The weight of things you wish you've done differently can be so heavy. And honestly, the fear of what's coming next can be paralyzing. But what's so amazing is that King David, a man God called a man after his own heart, he felt these exact same things. But, and this is the key, he didn't just stay there. He actually channeled all that distress into this deliberate, really structured conversation with God that we can learn from and use as our own guide today. So, let's break this masterpiece down, because this isn't just some random cry for help. No, this is a carefully constructed prayer. It's designed for maximum effect, both for changing David's own heart and for really being heard by God. Okay, so here's a key to really understanding the depth of Psalm 25. It's what's called an acrostic. David intentionally worked his way through the entire Hebrew alphabet from A to Z, so to speak. Now, this shows us he wasn't just panicking. This was a transformative act. He was deliberately reorienting his mind, making sure he covered every single angle in his prayer. It's a complete guide. And this is right where he starts, not with his problems, but with his focus. To lift up my soul, that's an incredible act of surrender. It means consciously directing your entire being, your will, your emotions, your thoughts, straight up to God. He's basically saying, everything I am, I'm placing it in your hands. And his prayer not to be ashamed, it isn't just about saving face. It's this profound plea for God to prove that this kind of radical trust is never, ever a mistake. And this right here reveals the first crucial step for us. Before we even look at our problems, we have to look up. David models this intentional shift in focus by immediately asking for God's direction. Now listen closely to what he's asking for here. He's not just saying, God, get me out of this mess. He's asking to be taught. Show me your ways. That's your principles. Teach me your paths. That's the practical day-to-day application of those principles. He wants a deep instructional relationship with God because he knows that real salvation comes from aligning with God's truth. And get this, he's willing to wait all day for that guidance. So, how do we actually apply this? Well, it means our prayers start to sound a little different. Instead of just asking for a quick fix, we start asking to understand God's perspective. We commit to being his student, ready to learn. And we develop this attitude of patient expectation, listening for his voice throughout our entire day. Okay, so after looking up to God for guidance, David immediately looks inward with some radical honesty. This next step isn't about feeling sorry for yourself. It's all about appealing to God's character when we're faced with our own failures. And this brings us to the very foundation of grace. It's amazing. David asks God to do two different things with his memory. First, he says, remember your mercy, your loving kindness, who you have always been. And then, in total contrast, he says, do not remember the sins of my youth, my rebellions. He's asking God to define him not by his messy past, but by God's merciful nature. This might be one of the most honest confessions in the entire Bible. David doesn't try to downplay his sin. He just admits it. It is great. But look at why he asks for a pardon. He says, for thy name's sake. He's basically saying, forgive me, not because I deserve it, but because forgiving a sin this big will bring huge glory to your reputation as a merciful and forgiving God. So by looking up to God for guidance and then looking inward with honest confession, we're then empowered to take that final step, to look forward and to live a life of confident trust no matter what's going on around us. So this whole psalm really boils down to these 4 practical steps we can take. We start by consciously surrendering everything to God. Then we humbly ask for his ways, not our own. We honestly confess how much we need his mercy. And then we wait on him, committed to living with integrity as we trust him to act. And right here is the profound promise for anyone who follows this path. The Hebrew word for secret here implies a close, confidential friendship, like being brought into an inner circle. For those who revere God, who live in this respectful awe of Him, He promises an intimate friendship where He reveals the deeper meanings of His promises and His plans. It's incredible. And that brings us to the final personal question. This promise of intimacy, it wasn't just for King David. It is for anyone who chooses to trust, to ask, to confess, and to wait. So what secret? What part of His character, His plan, or His deep friendship is God waiting to reveal to you today as you lift your soul to Him?